Okay, Rubio, this is how we generate content ideas for, any type of platform, blogs, podcast, uh, what is it, videos, you name it. This is how you figure out and figure out what content is good and what people are paying for and what people are trying to rank for ultimately on search engines such as Google, YouTube, and various other places. This is always the best place to start in terms of generating content ideas of your own. Uh, so let's go ahead and jump right to it. First, we're going to start off by utilizing Google Keyword Planner. This is something that's relatively easily accessible.
It's 10
with
o'clock.
This is just something that's easily accessible to anyone who has a Google AdWords account. So if you're running Google Ads, which I highly recommend everyone be doing, just simply because it's going to help with your SEO and help you rank for keywords. Sometimes Google won't even rank you for keywords, even if you do have good SEO, if you aren't paying even a little bit for those keywords. So just to get those keywords registered, it's usually best to have a little bit of money placed in there. And that's a good way to utilize your Google My Business voucher. If you have not set up a Google My Business page yet, do so. You get a $100 voucher for setting up a Google My Business page for your business. So you can go ahead and use that $100 voucher to spend on keywords that you would like to rank for with your content on your website. So to get started, typically you just go to discover new keywords, and the easy way to get started for anyone is just to input their website. For us, an example would be www.lightwingspromotions. Wingspromotions.com. Use the entire site, get results. So typically you're going to get a whole bunch of results about all of the different, keywords that you're ranking for. As you can see, we're ranking for quite a bit. A lot of these are sort of interconnected and related, it's typically to, whatever services you have on your website. But if you're really trying to find the keywords that really match and are branded to your business, because that's what our business is about, it's all about making sure that the content is branded to you specifically. You're going to want to look for keywords that are relevant to your website. So in doing so, the first thing you want to look for is definitely the page bids. So this tells you what people are currently paying for on the internet or using Google AdWords. The words that people are paying for are usually the words that people are trying to rank for. So it tells you, hey, that people are actually paying for this keyword. So therefore it must be, a keyword that, that is really in demand. So that's the first key point of interest that you look at. Second would be competition. This one people are paying for it, but it has a relatively low competition. So therefore it's like, oh, well, this is, obviously something that could be easy to rank for. But the monthly searches are rather low, but usually low searches isn't really that much of a bad thing. A lot of people always tell you to find high search volume with low competition. Could say otherwise, because typically as a digital marketer, you want things to be more specific and more honed in and more focused. And usually that's where the low monthly searches come to play, is that when you have those low monthly searches, you have those high niche people that are more qualified than the people who are generating within the mass populated searches, because you want to think about the intent of the search, right? So the intent and the context of the search is going to be very important to understanding the quality of the, because if you don't understand the intent and the context of the search, then you're not going to be able to create the connection that you need to in order to provoke an emotional response and ultimately get them to make a buying decision. So typically, yeah, so read it from right to left. So first key things I would think about, so like digital marketing agency, of course, is who we are. It's something that, like, talking about us as an agency. So doing pieces that about our agency, specifically about Lightwings Promotions, the digital marketing agency for nonprofits and early entrepreneurs. That's something that's a long tail key phrase that we could utilize to create a sort of intent and contextual based keyword search with, I wouldn't say exact keyword search is, but using partial or more generalized searches in your Google AdWords account. I mean, if you're running a PPC campaign, that would typically be the strategy you would do in terms of determining what parts of the key phrase would be exact and what parts would be relative, and so on and so forth. But that's a content idea. It's like about Lightwings Promotions, the digital marketing agency for nonprofits and early entrepreneurs. So that's one content idea that you can pull forth. The another content idea that you can come up from these keywords. So agency ad video, media marketing, online marketing, social media, social, like all of these are pertaining to specific services, obviously. So creating a helpful content. So like we just created a piece of content called top tier tips for creating a marketing video. That's something that we could utilize with this keyword and use this keyword ad agency video and find creative ways to spin or integrate that into a piece of content, whether it be a blog post or within the content descriptions of a YouTube video, or within the descriptions of a podcast, or within the tags on a video or a podcast or on a blog post. You could utilize these keywords in that manner. Agency ad tips for websites. First, agency ad tips for selling your services, for selling your digital marketing services. That's a long tail keyword phrase that utilizes multiple keywords. That means that you can rank for multiple keywords at once. And usually those are the best kinds, because not only does it cover a wider context, but it also is much more specific towards the intent of the search, right? Because if they're trying to, build a website, but they're also the digital marketing agency, you'll target digital marketing agencies or agency owners and provide them with the information for building websites, or how websites related to digital marketing, rather than top tier tips for building websites for small businesses. Completely different, because then you're like, oh, well, I'm building websites for small businesses. I'm a web development agency versus being a digital marketing agency. So you have to understand the context of the keyword in order to understand the intent of the searcher and who the searcher is. So always keep that in mind when determining content ideas. And again, looking here, seeing that this is something that's on our account, something that we've been paying for. So it's got high competition, but low monthly searches. This is what I'm talking about in terms of going for the highly concentrated ad leads. This is for ad agency videos, people who are looking for video, and it's very highly specific. Another blog post idea is saying maybe our company wants to do a ranking of the top 2020s top 10 LWP's picks for the top 10 video advertisements of 2020. That would be a cool blog post idea, right? Mm-hmm. Maybe we go and we look over all of these sort of other agencies' videos and check out everybody's stuff, and we find the ones that we like, and then we promote them in a blog post. It's just, it provides other companies with backlinks, gives us some external links to put on our website that link to other pages, offers crawlers a chance to link back to us coming from other websites through those same backlinks. And it grows our web and allows us to build a higher ranking within SEO, because we're helping Google find the most relevant content for the people searching for that type of content, because it's all about the intent and contextual intent and the context of the search. So Google's main prerogative is to put the most relevant search in front of the searcher based off those two criteria. Another way to come up with the content idea based off of the keyword searches, let's go through these here and finding best digital marketing strategies. That's an easy one. So best digital marketing strategies, that could be cover a variety of things. Say top 10 digital marketing, top 10 digital marketing trends, or digital marketing trends and strategies of 2020, or LWPs, like we can like an observation, 2020 observed LWP, what is it? 2020 observed LWPs, or like 2020 observed top trends in social media marketing. The year's top 10 trends in social media marketing. There's a story idea. And you could always utilize best digital marketing strategies as a keyword, or frame that keyword into that story in order to rank for that keyword if you so choose to. Let's see if there's any other ideas here that we can pull from. Best website to learn digital marketing. Best website to learn digital marketing. That's a very high competition keyword. Not many people are looking for that, but it's very ultra niche and very specific. Best website to learn marketing. So like typically I wouldn't say there's not a particular website, the best website that you can learn digital marketing from. Usually it's, I feel like digital marketing, there's a ton of places to learn digital marketing from. It's just like, you have to know the right places to look, but also not one process is perfect. There are universal laws to digital marketing you have to follow, but every process just needs to abide by those laws, and they can work out just as good as any other strategy as long as they follow the rules of digital marketing. You definitely can play on that keyword for your advantage. So like you could say, our picks are it's like we can determine LWP as an influencer, saying like, is like, these are where we're getting these are our sources for where we can put out, like, let's say an expose or something about us that talks about where we learn our digital marketing from, or we can put out a feature covering each specific individual and saying like, oh, well, or hold interviews and like, well, what are your top 10 sources, or what are some sources that you learn your tips and your tricks from? Where do you hone your craft from? This is an opportunity to possibly use interviews within an article, so that way you can draw attention to a specific person or a specific company and say, well, where do you get your marketing tips from? You put somebody on a podcast and talk about, well, what do you think are the best websites for learning digital marketing these days? This is something that I can see working really well within a podcast. If let's say you have a pretty good marketer come on your podcast, and maybe I'm on a podcast with someone comes on my podcast and I'm like, hey, well, we're both marketers. I know where I get my digital marketing tips from. Where do you learn your tips from? I can say, well, I learn all my stuff from Ryan Holiday. Ryan Holiday is a big, influence on, it has a big influence on me. I take a lot of my inspiration and a lot of my ideas come from Ryan Holiday, but I mix it a little bit with Ryan Deese at digitalmarketer.com with a little bit of Russell Brunson with a little bit of Ian Stanley for copywriting. It just all depends on everybody's got a niche, right? But you've got to really kind of, there's tons of places to get your information. And this is one of those things that maybe this is a question that you pose on a podcast, and then you can write a feature about that person and figure out. So if I question them on my podcast and then I wanted to write a follow-up to that podcast, and I say, oh, these are so-and-so's top 10 picks for top 10 websites to learn digital marketing, and then you have them on the record saying that these are the top 10 top 10 websites to learn digital marketing. So it creates that content feedback loop. One content idea leads to another content idea, and they're all comorbid and related. And then you sort of create essentially one piece of content should be able to create five, and five pieces of content should be able to create 10. And it should just be able to exponentially grow. Your content strategy should always be to repurpose, reposition, redistribute. Those are the 3 R's of content marketing, because content is king, and content, ultimately will change over time, but content can always be updated. That's why I have the newest editions for both of these books, because, this is, this is an updated version of Ryan Holiday's Trust Me Online Confessions of Media Manipulator. And this is an updated version of Growth Hacker Marketing from Ryan Holiday. Content's always being updated and adjusted to fit the modern day strategy. And ultimately, you should be combing through your content and finding old content that you produced previously in the past and innovating and updating upon it, and ultimately delivering a more valuable piece of content than the previous piece of content before. Content builds value over time. That's what momentum-based branding is. People like to say is it quantity versus quality? It's both, because technically it's quantity in the short term, quality in the long term, because technically if you focus on quantity first, through the repetition of creating content, you should be gradually getting better at creating content. The first piece of content will lead to the second piece of content. And the second piece of content should ultimately be better than the first piece of content, and so on and so forth. And through the repetition of it, like creating content will just become second nature. And once it becomes second nature, the quality of content will go up, because once you become so efficient in creating it, you can focus on the proficiency, and the quality of content will ultimately be outstanding exponentially in the long term. So the quantity versus quality argument, it's totally dumb. I think there's really no basis, and there really is no true answer to that. It really is both. You want quantity in the short term, quality in the long term, because quantity in the short term is going to build up that self-efficacy, that efficiency, and that proficiency that's going to lead to quality content in the long term. So always produce more for the purposes of honing and perfecting your craft in the long run. If you focus on one project and try like 12 imperfect projects are better than one perfect project, because the time that it takes to create that one perfect project, your competitor is going to create 12 pieces of imperfect content, and it's going to be relevant throughout all that time you're spending to create that one piece of content. And their content's going to have more of an organic reach, and they're going to be able to reach more people just because you decided to focus on that one really great piece of viral work, when you could have been creating a lot more. And eventually, if you're creating more and more and getting better and better over time, basically at the end, you should end up with a viral piece of content, because you'll be building an organic following that's following you, and eventually something will go viral. Eventually, it's just a waiting game. You just have to be persistent and consistent in your production of content. Brand strategies in social media. That's an easy keyword to build content off of. That's super easy. It's like, oh yeah, well, what are some brand strategies we can talk about? There are tons of them, right? How to build a digital marketing strategy, another content idea. Businesses online marketing, business plan for a digital marketing agency, how to develop a digital marketing agency, how to build a digital marketing agency. I have tons of business development experience, and this is something I feel like I don't do enough of, is business development consulting, because it's just I don't know. I just I started the startup. It seemed fairly easy to me, but technically everything leading up to that point was, it was a lot of hard work, but I could definitely share and talk more about my experiences in developing my business. And I feel like a lot of people could benefit from that. And that's something that people are definitely paying to rank for. And it's low competition, high niche. So why not talk about it? Yeah, so those are these are the fundamentals of defining basically the first stage in developing your content ideas. Of course, there's more I can go into. We'll do that in another training session. We'll just get started here. to see what kind of content ideas you can come up with based off of what you can find in the keyword planner. Of course, these keywords are not supposed to be taken directly or literally. It's just supposed to open the door to give you an idea of what to look for, what's currently out there, and what the ways you can position your content to make it most relevant to your brand. The under the undertones or the subcontext of what an average monthly search means, competition, and the page bids is basically this. Just know these three things. If they're bidding on it, if they're paying for it, it's worth talking about. If competition is high, people are, there's a lot of real estate. There's not much real estate on that keyword. So typically try to avoid high competition keywords. Typically try to stick to mid to low, because that means that there's a lot of real estate for that. There's not a lot of attention to be bought there. If it has a high competition but a low page bid, maybe I'd consider doing it just to have some skin in the game on that keyword, just because having some skin in the game is better than not having some skin in the game. And you always want to make sure that you're investing in trying to become top authority, and you're not going to become top authority by not putting out content that's highly competitive. So do keep an eye out for those things. Last but not least, the average monthly searches. A lot of marketers are going to tell you, oh, what you're going to be looking for is low competition, high search volume, like best brand strategies, social media, low search volume, low competition, high search volume. But people are paying like $10 a click for this keyword. Tells you it can get really expensive, just because so many people are looking for it. But typically what you want to be looking for is, this is a really good keyword, and it's probably really great to try and go for it and rank for this keyword. Not going to discredit it, but you're going to want to not go for the super high search volumes, because super high search volumes means so many people looking for it, which means a lot of eyes on it. But if there are a lot of eyes on it, then it's probably going to be really competitive market. Think of it like real estate. Like I said, if there's a high competition, a high search volume, it's going to be really rare to find something like this. And at the same time, it could still be very expensive, because demand is high. When demand is high, prices are going to rise ultimately. So that's economy, right? Basic fundamental rules of digital marketing. All of these universal rules apply here too. But yeah, marketers tell you look for the high search volumes. I'm going to tell you look for this super niche, low search volumes that are being bid on, that have a medium to high competition, because that's going to technically show you that, hey, these are really niche. There probably not going to be a lot of people paying for those keywords, because they're going to be typically avoided. Those are the ones you should be ranking for, because those are the highly specific, and the quality of those leads are ultimately going to be higher than those that are branding for a website. So many people looking for that keyword, a lot of people paying for it, low competition, because there's so many people looking for it. Basically, tons of real estate. It's a seller's market. You know what I mean? Throwing things away like candy. Branding for a website can mean anything. It doesn't mean that they own a business. It doesn't mean that they are willing to pay for your services. Branding for a website could mean, I'm building a blog of my own and I want to become an influencer, but I'm not willing to pay someone to do it for me. I just want to know how to do it myself. That's not necessarily a quality lead for a digital marketing agency or someone who's building websites or doing branding or design for people doing B2B or B2C. Those are not the type of people that you want to hone in and target and bring in with your organic or paid marketing. So typically you would avoid using that keyword, any sort of SEO or PPC strategies in terms of determining your focus keywords, as well as your what you pay for online. But of course, there's still people paying for it, and I'd say those people are dumb. But You want to pay for things that are super niche, and you want to phrase, especially if you're paying for the keywords, you're going to want to make sure you're exact, your relative, your phrase match types are done correctly. So that way your long tail keywords can work or set up and work and be tested the way that you want them to be tested. But other than that, this is where we're going to start off for now, Rubio. Um, just once create a list of, let's say, 20 topic ideas for based off your based off your keyword research. Um, they don't have to be exact keyword matches. Remember that they could be relative keyword matches, which means that you can, like I said, like all the topic titles and headlines I created for all the story ideas I had were not, they used parts of the keywords, but they weren't exactly the keyword. That's ultimately what you should be ultimately trying to do, because Google's not going to be looking for the exact keyword all the time. It's going to be looking for what's relevant about the keyword and how it relates to the piece of content, because the context of the content is more important than what the keyword is. And I really want people to really understand that, because marketers these days are not saying that. They're telling you, like even the Yoast plugins, like put this key phrase in front of, put it at the beginning of the keyword, improve your keyword search or keyword optimization. I'm like, these are all of that outdated strategies. That's not how Google algorithm is really working these days. Google's a lot smarter than the Yoast plugin and a lot of these marketers out there. Just create content that's compelling and relevant to your searcher, and then you're never gonna fail. That's my advice. Take it with that. But 20 content ideas based off keyword research. And then from there, I'll show you how to take those content ideas and seeing how they compare and compare to the top page results on Google, and how you can further narrow down your niches and determine which content ideas, or even amplify or improve upon the content ideas that you establish using your keyword research. But with that, that will be it for this.
Cool.
Do you have any questions?
No, I think I'm good to go.
Okay, great. Well, yep. All right. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's get those 20 content ideas created. And once you have those 20 content ideas, we'll go ahead and see what podcast videos and blog posts we will create based off your research. So